Good afternoon. Welcome to PRTV Spurs, Paxton Raw TV. Tottenham Hotspur 2-0, actually. Tottenham Hotspur 0. Sorry, Arsenal fans. Tottenham Hotspur 0. Manchester City 2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last night. What an interesting night in all aspects, from Spurs fans, Spurs players, City fans, City players, the managers as well, and the Gooners that were probably crying now. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about, and this is gonna be a very, very interesting reaction show. So let's get this started. Hello, good afternoon. What a beautiful day it is today. It's not a beautiful day if you're lot from Woolwich. Good afternoon, PRTV Spurs. We are here to do the reaction show. As I said at the beginning, Tottenham Hotspur 0, Manchester City 2, and it was an interesting night. Wherever you're joining us from, please make sure, if you haven't already subscribed to PRTV Spurs, you've got 2 games to go. Just smash that like button, give us a follow, because shows get interesting. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club and the manager, if you've already read about it, seen it, it's all around everywhere. They're shouting it from the rooftops. We're going to get into all that, as well as the game itself and how it folded. Joining me, as always, the penultimate show is Mr. Sam Spurs for Life and Sean Hurl. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we feeling? I know we didn't want Spurs to win, to give Arsenal the title, but I wasn't thinking about all them narratives. I went to the game yesterday wanting Spurs to win the game and give it all. How are you both then? Sean, how are you?
Somewhat perplexed this morning. Somewhat perplexed, not necessarily by what happened on the field of play.
Yeah.
But what has happened post the game.
Yeah.
And a little bit anxious. I'll be honest, a little bit anxious. You know, I'm glad the integrity of the game cannot be questioned. We gave City as good a match as we could, given that we were having to rejuggle the system. We played in a new formation, which posed a lot of problems to them. So yeah, I'm all right about that. And yeah, there are other doubts which we'll get into.
Of course, we'll do that at the end. Sam, I know we were talking throughout last night, but how you feeling?
More questions than answers. If you go and asking me about the result, I'll be honest with you. As with most of fans, I would imagine nobody wanted to Arsenal potentially win the title. So I'm not going to sit here and be hypocritical and say that I wanted Spurs to win. I didn't want Arsenal to win the league, and it's made it easier for City to win the league. However, I don't condone some of the stuff that went off in the stadium in terms of singing. You'll obviously know more, Sid, because you was there. I didn't celebrate the goals. Yeah, I had a bit of a, yeah, well, okay, it's done to Arsenal. But again, as Sean said, I think we need to get into that as a bigger picture, because there's a lot of division now that's being caused, particularly from the comments last night, and that's the real talking points.
But the thing is, right, this for me, I don't know if you guys agree or not, this was just another Premier League game. Tottenham playing Manchester City, right?
You say that, Sid. You say that, but it wasn't really. It wasn't.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you take all that out of context about the title, Arsenal stopping Arsenal from winning the league, all of that, yes. I also think the media and the journalists and everybody else have had a massive part to play in this. And I'll tell you why. I've had this conversation with you, Sam. I don't know if I had it with Sean. I had it with a Liverpool fan yesterday as well, before the game. All this narrative going into yesterday's game. Will Tottenham turn up? Will Tottenham be a disgrace? Will they turn up and not play and hand the game to City to stop Arsenal winning the league? Because they don't like Arsenal. They hate Arsenal. Blah, 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 blah. Remember on Sunday at 4 p.m., there was a game at Old Trafford. Manchester United played Arsenal. In the build-up, in the post-match, in the whole game, did anybody hear once, anyone, and I'm talking the presenters, the pundits, the journalists, commentator, mention Manchester United, are they gonna throw the game against Arsenal to stop their rivals, Manchester City, winning 4 titles on the trot? Did anyone mention, oh, they're not playing well, they're not putting in an effort, blah, blah, blah? Not once did they say that. But all they mentioned throughout the whole game was Tottenham are gonna do this, or Arsenal gonna, Tottenham gonna, is Tottenham gonna. But this was fucking Manchester United playing Arsenal. Man United could have stopped Arsenal from winning the league by playing well, putting a good team out, and, you know, City win the league. But no, see, United played shit. Not had a shot on target. They just huffed and puffed. That was it. But did they mention anything about United not turning up to stop City winning the league? No. So why was it all about Tottenham, Tottenham, Tottenham? And me, I don't know about you guys, but and I think you already said, I wanted Spurs to win yesterday. And I told you this, Sam, yesterday. I want to go there to watch Spurs play. I don't ever want my team to get beat. And I don't give a shit. And I don't give a fuck about Arsenal winning the league. They're not going to win the league on one game yesterday. If they were going to win the league, they've been consistent throughout the whole fucking season. They've kept clean sheets. They've scored goals. And both of them have done it. So whoever wins the title, it's on merit. One game doesn't dictate who wins that league. So yesterday, going into this game, these Tottenham fans that sold their tickets to Arsenal fans, they're a disgrace. I'm sorry. Absolute disgrace. I would never, ever sell my ticket to an opponent, especially if they've got a chance of winning the league. Why the fuck would you do stupidness like that? There's a lot of things, like you said, Sam and Sean, we've got to talk about. I mean, Arsenal fans texting me last night saying it's a disgrace. You lot were a disgrace. I don't think we were a disgrace yesterday. I think you agree, Sam. You agree, Sean. I think we played quite well. And I was in that stadium yesterday and I said to my boys, I went, boys, we're playing quite well here. Why the fuck can't we do this all season? You know, but we'll talk about that anyway. That's my rant. That's my rant out of the way because I'm angry, yeah, in a lot of sense. And whether people think I'm making sense, I don't know. But the stadium yesterday to me didn't feel like they wanted Spurs to lose the game. Yeah, because that's what a lot of angry fans when Son missed that sitter, when Kulusevski missed a chance, Vicario making themselves. Yes, they were singing, we hate Arsenal, stand up if you hate Arsenal. Standard. But apart from that, majority of them fans in there did not want Spurs to lose that game. How you saw it on the game, I don't know. On TV, I don't know. But I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that, but that's my rant done.
Okay, so I'm going to say for me, and I'm not, as I said, I've mentioned at the top of the show, I'm not going to be hypocritical. I'm not a Spurs fan, and I've probably been doing this for near enough 4 years. And I said the only time I've given a result where I said that we're going to lose was recently. And that was in the game against Liverpool. And I jokingly said that against City. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't want... it's hard to put it into context because the only way that Arsenal weren't going to have as much an opportunity to win the league was if we lost yesterday. Even a draw would have put them in a pole position. And I don't care. I'm not going to stand here and sit here and say, oh, I would have liked to win the game because we weren't playing for anything yesterday. Let's get it right. If we think that we're playing for Champions League, that's gone. We should have been doing that 5, 6, 7, 8 games ago when we had the opportunity, when it was in our hands. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, we should have won the game because we had a chance of getting top 4. We hadn't. 5th is where we're going to be. And even then, there's the potential that we might not get 5th because of the 2 other teams below us. But that's very unlikely. So going to the game itself, everybody was conflicted. Ange, I think, misread the room. I think he did misread the room in terms of what it means to the fans. and it's different from Scotland. I keep saying he did work at Celtic and he knows about the rivalry from Celtic and Rangers, but there's a number of things difference. He can have that sort of rant. If he had that sort of rant yesterday in Scotland, it would get blown up, but it would only be between Rangers and Celtic. It wouldn't really affect the rest of the league. What he's done now, he's opened up a real can of worms for the media now to jump. The media is different here. It's completely different. And that's what I think we need to talk about, because it's not, so Sean said it, the signs from what I've seen post, even pre this, were building up to this. And there's certain things I don't think you can do here that you maybe get away with other leagues that are not as high profile. That's my thoughts. So no, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't want us to help Arsenal. I didn't want us to help Arsenal. And if we lost and that meant it, I'm not going to be singing and praising our fans for what they did yesterday, because that was wrong. You can't be doing that at the stadium. You know, you can either keep quiet or don't go, is what I did, because it was a lose-lose-lose for me. If I went, I can't be singing and shouting, oh, when we scored, because it means different things. But I don't want my team to lose. And I don't want to be travelling all that way to be conflicted. So I didn't go.
Sean?
Yeah. There's not really much I can add to that. I mean, I never want my team to lose. But I am of that generation where the rivalry between Spurs and Arsenal is strong, and we don't, you know, I never want to help them out. You know, I was absolutely gutted coming away from the recent league game, you know, because I mean, they won without actually having to play very well. And but it's you know, it's one of those things, when you go into the stadium, you should be trying to back the team. And I you know, reading into Ange's history, this is is a concern of mine that he could walk away. And you know, then what? All the progress that we've made this year is thrown away, and we have to start all over again. I just can't understand, you know, why some of our fans just couldn't keep, you know, just keep it between. But we live in social media, and talking of rivalries, probably why the TV company didn't big up Manchester United playing Arsenal is that Manchester United and Manchester City is not a rivalry. It's only a recent rivalry since the money's arrived at Manchester City. Manchester United's, real rivals are Liverpool along the M56 from them, and that's the one that gets them going. So, you know, I mean, there's a whole history, you know, of why Tottenham and Arsenal hate each other, and it's from boardroom level. You know, there's been fractions between Levy and owners of Arsenal in the past. So, but you know, the fans should have backed the team. I know I was disappointed when Son missed that chance. But it would have been 1-1, and it would have been difficult for City. City would have had to have scored again in about 5 minutes with 5 minutes left when he missed that. But you know, you get caught up in the emotion. I do feel that there was probably too much talk within the club about, you know, can't help Arsenal. And I think that's got to the manager, and that might explain his feelings. But we have concerns about. I now have concerns about what's going to happen in the summer. Whether the coach will see.
The thing is, as well, you know what? Yes, there was a lot of emphasis on yesterday's game. Yes, everybody. Apparently, so was Gooners at halftime. About 3 of them got evicted from the South Stand. Massive game. Yes, but we technically could have nailed it 3-4 games ago when we had them to play at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Had we had that performance that we did yesterday, maybe we would have beaten Arsenal and we wouldn't have to worry about yesterday's game. And I think I agree with what you're saying, Sean and Sam. There was too much emphasis on the Tottenham Arsenal. We have to stop them at all costs, blah, 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 blah. And I think that sort of deflected it away from the game, and it sort of put a lot of pressure on Ange, and we've already seen that on the players as well.
Can I just add a comment to this? If the situation was slightly different, e.g., we had it in our hands to be fourth, I'd have a totally different version of events than I probably would do today. Yes, I don't want Arsenal to win, so I would have been conflicted. But had we had an opportunity to get fourth, given the season that we've had, I would want that. I would want that, only because I guess it gives us a little bit more leeway in the transfer market. Not that we're going to win the Champions League next year, but it would show a degree of progression, and it would obviously give Ange something to work to regarding this football team and this football club. So Champions League is the benchmark financially, etc., etc. So we can't take that away. It's not success, but it does obviously help. But I don't think we're in that position. I couldn't see a scenario where, yes, we're going to win. Let's say we won yesterday. Then, as we talked about, Sid, on the show, it would be typical Spurs on the last day to go to Sheffield United and not pick up a result if Aston Villa then lost. Because that's what would have to mean. Aston Villa would have to lose on the last day to Crystal Palace at home. Every team who plays at home on the last day, if they're relaxed, if they're playing for something, should have the advantage. So Aston Villa would always have the advantage. And I think Sheffield United would have the advantage over us, not because they're a better team, but because of what I've said before. They've got nothing to play for. And why would you then just decide, oh, well, we're not going to turn up? Because we know if you set up against us, how we can play. What surprised me yesterday was how we set up was different. And that, again, there's more questions being asked about that. Why now? Why yesterday? And this is what all this is now spiraling into something I think has been happening and building before. And his comment to the fan, or I don't know what he said, is an explosion which shouldn't happen. And that's why, Sean has mentioned it right, he could walk here. He could walk.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it in the press conference later, actually. We'll do the game and we'll do everything else, and then we'll talk about that, because there's, I think, Sean, you've got a massive point here in terms of him walking, because that conference last night, when you look at it, sit down properly, analyze it, it's worrying. It's absolutely worrying. And if that's the fans' attitude, and then if that happens, then you know what? Fans are going to be, you've got to blame them fans themselves, to be fair. But
only thing I'd add, and I'll let you guys, is it's not one problem. It's not just one thing. It's not Ange, it's not the board, it's not the fans, it's not the players. It's a combination of so many things. But sometimes different things affect things and becomes a catalyst to other stuff. So our performances over the last few weeks haven't helped. Yeah. Some of Ange's comments over the last few weeks haven't helped. Some of the players' ability and attitudes in games haven't helped. Us fans then thinking, oh, well, we've got a divine right to be fourth, doesn't help. Put all that together and we're in this situation which we've seen a number of times before. Hence why we should be concerned when it's not just been one manager, 2, 3 or 4, a number of managers have been in the same position, and it's not good 9 months into your tenure, pretty much.
Listen, I speak to a lot of fans, right? Obviously, coming from up north, I've got a lot of friends that are Man United fans, Liverpool fans, you know, and we have conversations. And yesterday afternoon, I had a conversation with a Liverpool fan, and he was asking me these questions, right? It was like I was being interviewed, and he was a journalist. He was asking me about, what do you think of Ange? What do you think? How far have you been? What did you think of that defeat? You know, what did you think against Liverpool? What are you going to do tonight? And then at the end, he said to me, but surely, Sid, as a Tottenham fan, you just lost your best striker, probably the striker, best striker in the world, end of last season. I went, yeah. You've then brought in a manager, novice to the Prem. He said, he's turned your season around. You've ended up 5th without Harry Kane. He says, honestly, are you telling me you would not have taken that at the end of last season after you lost Harry Kane? A 5th under a brand new manager and a new system. I said, I'd take that all day long. I said, I didn't want Champions League because we're not ready for it under a new manager. So he goes, so what's wrong with your fan base? He said, some of them are deluded. He says, you give that to me as a Liverpool fan, first season, new manager, you've just lost your best striker. I would be happy with 5th. You know, and I'm like, Spurs fans are never ever happy, no matter what. And I personally don't want Champions League. But then again, Daniel Levy now will probably be pissed because that new format. How many games are you going to be playing, and how much money are you going to be making before you even get into the round 16? I think the Europa League's the same, but you're not going to be playing as many matches. But again, and we'll talk about this later. We're never going to win the Champions League. We've got a good chance of winning the Europa League. But then this freaking budget, where you've got a Champions League budget and a Europa League budget, is that going to hinder us to winning it? But there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations and stuff like that when we need to speak about, and we'll do that.
Yeah, and again, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up, and I apologise if I cut in sometimes, and I don't want to do that. But there's things that you've just said about what the Liverpool fans have said. It's great coming from them saying that, but hindsight is a wonderful thing, as they say. At the beginning of the season, Liverpool fans would have said, "Yep, because of the change, all the rest of it, we're happy." Partway through the season, when Klopp announced he's leaving, oh right. There's a chance now we could win. They were in for winning 4 trophies, don't forget.
Yeah.
And they've now tailed off. So it's great them saying, oh, no, at the beginning of the season, you should have accepted that. Things changed. We had a 10-game start to a season, which put us into a bubble of expectation. That expectation was accelerated and heightened because of that fact. Yes, it's great looking back now and saying, oh, that's where we should have been. But when you're chasing the top, when you're at the top of the league, and you're seeing certain things and all the messages and coming across is very positive, it's quite easy to now look back and say that's what we should. Things change, perspective change as time goes by. So if we had a bad start to the season, people would have been saying, oh, bloody hell, how did you manage to get there? But because we haven't had a good end to the season, I'm now looking at what's happened post Chelsea game. Whatever game you want to take that marker from to get to the position where we're at now, not from a league position, but the whole bigger picture. And that's what we've got to look at, not our league position. It's got nothing to do with anything at this moment in time.
That'll be an uncomfortable talking point conversation at some point. Just before we move on, Sam, we got a message from Donna for you. Sam, I missed you like the deserts missed the rain.
I just hope it is a Donna and it's not a Donald, because that'll call. Yeah.
Anyway, let's do the let's do this then. If I can bring the window. Okay, let's do it. So, Tottenham 0, Manchester City 2, and this is how the game folded. I'm just on the one this time around. 53% possession to Manchester City's 47. Tottenham had 10 shots. Manchester City had 8. We had 3 off target. They had 2 off target. 5 on target. They had 5 on target. Shots inside and outside the box. We had 8 inside, 2 outside. They had 6 inside, 2. Passes 611, 89%. They had 533, 89%. Passes in the opposite half, 216. They had 230. And in the opposite box, we had 16. They had 23. For the first time this season, lads, I've seen somebody actually have more passes, almost as many passes as us, 533. They've had more touches in the opposite half than we have at home. And they also had more touches in the opposite box at home. So we've had Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal's, everyone. And I think these stats have been the most comprehensive in terms of an away team having more than we did. But 53% to 47 overall. So what do you make of them, Sam?
If you're just looking at the stats alone, again, we can look at it in different ways. Would you expect Manchester City to have more possession than us in any given game? Depends. I would say that majority of games that Man City have played this season, they have been the team in possession. That's how they play. Would you say that they would have more passes than us? Generally, I would say if you looked at Manchester City's stats, they'd probably be very high on that side. The difference is that they get the results. Now, what we can look at this, for me, what this shows me, and this is where I want to get into it, is the reason why I think Ange is so pissed off is because in my head, I think he wants to measure himself up against the best. Pep's been giving him, lip service and telling him, oh, this team's going to be phenomenal, great. And this is the sort of thing that Ange, in my opinion, wants to hear. He wants to know how close he is to the best. But look what Manchester City did yesterday. Regardless of what we did in terms of how we set up, look what Manchester City did. They don't have these types of situations where they're lower on the stats than the other team, and that goes home and away. Pep was prepared to change his game. Now, regardless of whether it was a bit more pressure on them because they needed to get the result, I don't care. They changed what they had to do. And if people think, oh, well, they didn't do that. Yes, they did. I watched the game. They played in them wide areas because they knew that's where they were going to get a lot of joy. They played a little bit more defensively. But when they needed to turn it on, they did. That's my only thing about this whole of this season. We need to be adaptable. We have to be. This is the Premier League. It's nothing like anywhere else in the world. And these stats show me that Pep is prepared to change his game to get a result. He had to get a result yesterday. Draw was no good. A loss was obviously no good. Only a win mattered. Did they get it? They did. Kept a clean sheet at it as well. So well done them. Well done for us for matching them in terms of the ability to, and we did change it, what we did as well. We'll go into that. Too little, too late for me from that sense.
Personnel makes a massive difference as well, Sam. Personnel. He's got the players that he can bring in to do that. We haven't. And unfortunately, they've got people behind them that back them. If he says tomorrow, I want him for 150 million, there you go, on the table.
I agree. I agree. But have Manchester City lost games this season? And they've lost to teams that are not better than them who don't have the same personnel. So there are levelers in football. So we can't say just because they got a better team, they should over the period of time be better. But on a one-off game, there are teams that can beat Manchester City depending on what you do. And we have the ability to do that. We just didn't.
Of course.
We drew them earlier in the season. So yeah.
It's true. It's true. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can add anything really to what Sam said. We gave them a game. People have asked Ange to change. He did change something last night. I'm not entirely convinced that one of those changes helped us. In the end, as you say, City just have that ability to get it done, and they use the wide areas very well, very well.
I'd just like to thank Spurs players for not scoring again at Paxton Road End. Thank you very much indeed, guys. Final home game of the season. At least you send us off without a goal, which is fantastic. Thank you. But I'd like to thank Manchester City and Haaland for scoring 2 goals, because at least we got to see 2 goals in that end. Albeit coming from Man City, but you know what? I'm buying half a season ticket next year, and I want to buy a 45-minute season ticket only when they're kicking at the South Stand, because we don't see goals. But in terms of performances, lads, that first half, I think we've done quite well. I think we matched them. Yes, City obviously sort of sat back, and I think they were just trying to assess it. As people were saying, City were playing bad. I think also we didn't allow them to play. I think we sort of stopped them from playing the way they would normally. And like you said, Sam, that then made Pep change the way he can play with his players, because they're interchangeable. They're like transformers, aren't they? They can do what they want, where they want, and it sort of works for them. But we sort of had 1 or 2 chances in the first half. We could have taken the lead. So I personally think we done quite all right first half. To be fair, I don't know if you agree or not. I think it's probably one of our best first half performances I think we've had for a while. I thought we'd done quite well first off. Don't know about what you guys thought about the first half, Sean. What did you think? Did you think we was quite good first off?
Yeah, I was a little late getting to the first half,
Okay.
and so I missed the first few minutes. But yeah, from what I saw, we were more than capable. I didn't feel particularly under threat. We nullified them. We maybe we didn't. The stats will probably bear it out, but we had our chances, and the only issue I had is the amount of space that they got down our left hand side.
Yeah. Sam, first off performance.
It was hard to kind of critique yesterday's game because of the feelings, the emotions that you're feeling because of the game. As I said in the preview, if we played out of our skins, I'd be questioning what's going on here.
Yeah.
But we did play well enough. It was almost like a deceptive performance. We played well enough to be competing and to actually get a result. But I don't think any fan really wanted that result, if that makes sense. It was just so strange in that sense because of the fact of what it meant if we did draw or win. And this is what I'm saying. I think this is where Ange wants to be, and hence the reason why he's disappointment. He wants us to be the team that says we can match any team in the league or any team that we play, regardless. That's the slight thing that I think he has to adapt to. Everything else, we can have opinions about it, but I think that's where he wants to. And based on what Pep said, I think Ange is probably saying, well, this is the reason why. This is why I'm here. I want us to be in that sense mentality-wise, but there's a long way to go. But yes, in terms of the overall performance, looking at that, we did play better than we've played, and we had a little bit of a different shape. The players looked to be up for it, which makes me question a lot. I've got more questions than answers at the moment.
Right, as Lookman is saying here, please, everybody, please hit the like button and subscribe to PRTV Spurs Paxton Road TV if you haven't already. So, team news then. When the team came out, lads, what? Obviously, we predicted our team on Monday, and people were crying out for this back five because obviously, all right, I'm not even going to talk about it. Why has he kept it so long to do this? Why has he waited to the penultimate game of the season to put Van der Ven at left back when Destiny was out how many games ago? And you know Emerson's crap. You know Skip can't play that position. So why now would you wait until the Man City game, 2 games from the end, to put in Dragusin and Van der Ven at left back? And whoever
the obvious reason is the answer he gave in the press conference is that he wasn't sure about Van der Ven's fitness. It's a totally different position at left back to left centre back, and he wasn't sure about his fitness. He's a young player. We know how our club has a history of players who've had their careers stunted, destroyed by hamstring injuries. The last thing you want to do is finish the career of Mickey Van der Ven when you just spent 42 million on him last summer. So that, he's in charge. He speaks to the medical department. They'll tell him. And why people can't take that on face value, I don't know. This is the position where I think we went wrong. Van der Ven is not a left back. How many times was he drawn into the middle where Manchester City were on the attack and left big wide spaces, which Kyle Walker at 34 years old was galloping up? He is not a left back. He's a left centre back. And it was as much an emergency situation as playing Skip there. He's obviously better than Skip because he's got more defensive nous. But he playing left centre back as he has done all season, and then suddenly expecting him to be, Destiny Udogie is a nonsense in an Ange system. And I don't think it would, much as he did well in 15 minutes against Burnley to win the game for us. It's not a long-term solution. A long-term solution.
Who would you have played there then, Sean? Instead of, obviously, you would have put Van der Ven back in the middle. Who would you have gone with then? Skip?
I wouldn't have gone with Skip, no, because, that would have been as much a mismatch. I think I would have gone for a back three.
Right, okay.
And then maybe play one of the academy kids. I don't know. We've obviously got left backs at 18s and 21s. Why not try that? I don't know, but anyway, it's done now. So it's done now.
Do you ever think?
But people really should, accept when Anne says he has, any employer, and although he's not the employer, he's a manager. He's got a responsibility for the health and safety of his employees. And if he says what he was concerned about is he didn't just make that up out of thin air. He speaks to the doctors all the time. So, you know, let's not get carried away.
I'll come to you in a minute, Sam. The other thing I noticed, I don't know if you both noticed it in the game, during the game, is when they were attacking down or left, Van de Ven, from what I saw most of the game, they were always doubling up on who was playing on the right. So if you're doing that with Van de Ven playing there, who's a better defender than the other ones that have played there, then why haven't you had times when you've doubled up, when your Skips played in that position? Emerson Royal, when we absolutely battered him when he got, was it Liverpool game or whatever, why didn't they then double up? Because you had more Salah playing there, but you don't want to double up against him, but you're doubling up against Silva and Kyle Walker, which I found quite strange. What did you think of this one then, Sam? Was you happy with this, or do you agree with Sean on this one, on the left back?
Yeah, I have some agreement with Sean on this. I do want to play a bit of devil's advocate on this as well. So I agree with what he said about Van de Ven, from what Postecoglou said in terms of the demands. But then I would ask the question, he threw Skip in there. Skip hasn't really played much. He had come off the back of an injury, but yet he played him there. And we all know that Skip's not the most mobile in the world. So again, I can't necessarily say that was the right thing, but I can understand more so the Skip perspective, because as I keep saying, our fullbacks aren't defenders per se. Doesn't have to be their biggest strength. Their biggest strength has to be in that transition between going forward and defending. So if you've got someone that has the ability to get back, but also the ability to do things going forward, that's the hybrid that you need. That's why Doggy's got the march on everybody else. If I was playing yesterday, I would have played a back five and I would have played Emerson Royal there, because you would have had protection from him. He is a half decent defender. He's not the best, but you need to protect him. You can't isolate him in a back four. So if you're going to do that and you haven't got anybody else that you trust, because clearly Ange hasn't got anybody else that he's going to trust. He doesn't trust the youngsters enough to put somebody in. He's obviously seen the Skip experiment doesn't work. There was an argument, could you put someone like Kulusevski playing in that wing-back role? Because I think he could have done that because of the attributes that you require. So I think he's confused as well. So the fact that we did see Van de Ven play there, it doesn't surprise me because of the left-sided balance that we required. But it's always going to be expose on them sides, because that's how we've been playing all season. It wasn't any different. So whether it was Van de Ven, whether it was Skip, whether it was anybody else, I think we would have still had a lot of space. The difference is Van de Ven did make more efforts to get back, and I think he's probably better defensively than any others on that left-hand side that we could have played yesterday. But I agree. Back five, protect Emerson Royal, protect Skip. Whoever was on that side, Van de Ven could have done that because you'd have been a left-sided centre-back. So hindsight, I keep saying, is great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Giant Rabbit saying Van de Ven played very well at left back. Royal and Skip struggle. It's about time he played Van de Ven at left wing back. I don't think he's a left wing back, to be fair. You know,
left, you only get a left wing back when you play a five.
Yeah.
Well, you play a back three. He's a left back. He's not a left back though. He played there. He played there a couple of occasions for Wolfsburg, and suddenly he's become like the jack of all trades and master of them at the same time. No, and he's a left centre back, and under the own system, that's what he's employed for.
And I think second half.
And then look, Giant Rabbit has just said, apart from the first goal, where did the first goal come from? The right hand side with our super wing back.
Yeah.
So don't give me, you can't have it. You can't have your cake and eat it. If Spence was so good, if Van der Ven is so good at left back, why are they getting that cross across for Højlund to just tap it in?
Oh, right. So I thought this was quite strange how he picked three in the middle with Højbjerg, Bentancur on Saw. What did you make of this one then, lads? The midfield three. I thought it was very defensive, playing Højbjerg, Saw and Bentancur in the middle with... I'll just bring the team up in here.
You have to put that in context. I was going to say, you have to put the front three up in context to give that the ability to understand that midfield.
Johnson left, Son left, Johnson right, and then Maddison had that false 9 role, didn't he?
Yeah. So effectively, what you've got here is a situation where you have got a false 9. I hate to use that phrase, but it is basically playing without a forward, a recognised striker, which means that your midfield, apart from Højbjerg, I would imagine, and that was proven yesterday, is supposed to rotate in and out of that position to be able to link up with Son, Johnson, who might get closer together, who might play wide at times, but there is going to be a space in that middle. So that has two things. It can make you more solid in that middle, which you can play a box midfield, and then you can have a 2. So you can effectively say it was a 4-4-2 as such, or you can create, as we can see, it's very flexible. This is what I've been trying to ask for a long time, that flexibility. Now, had we played a number 9 in there, we wouldn't have done that sort of system, but you could have still been flexible in how you approach that. You could have played a double pivot. You could have played a back 5, as we said. You can do so many other things in terms of being able to protect players. But the fact that we've seen that change is probably 10, 12 games too late, in my opinion. It did give us more solidity, but I think we did lack as much creativity. Saying that, we did create chances, but I still think if you've got a dedicated number 9, it means your transition is better, because if you've got someone who's staying in that position, when you do transition from defense into attack, somebody's in that sort of area. It was difficult to get that, but you did see in that last opportunity from Son, the reason why, because Son was now in that number 9 position, so it's flexible. So yes, I liked what I saw in that sense, but I haven't. Again, it's like, well, why didn't we play Scarlett? If Scarlett had an opportunity, if Scarlett played at the weekend or the last game and he came on, why didn't he play this? Why is it taken now to think, oh, I need to play a false 9 here on a game that I don't think mattered to us, but mattered to Ange? Obviously, it mattered to Ange, and this is where I think we're going to have a bit of a problem going forward with him.
Yeah. Sean, what did you make of this? And do you agree with Sam?
Yeah, so, I mean, when I looked at the lineup, I thought, oh, 4-4-2. You know, that was the way I read it, because we had 4 midfielders and two attackers. But it, you know, as Sam has indicated, it was a much more fluid. It was a kind of a diamondy thing where some people were actually saying that Sarr was playing the false 9.
He was at times.
Yeah, he was at times, yeah.
And it was, yeah. I mean, you know, in terms of negating City, it was really good. But again, Ange is limited by the personnel. I mean, I'm sorry, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg proved to me why, you know, he should never start for Spurs. I mean, it was like, I mean, I was honestly, when there was that chance in the second half where he did exactly the same thing in the cup tie, where he passed the ball to De Bruyne to have a shot in our box. It was like deja vu. It was like January or whatever, February all over again. I just think we were deficient in some of the midfield players. I feel we'll get into the substitutions as well, but there was some curious decisions on that. I thought Bentancur had a really, really good game.
So
and he was pulled after 55 minutes.
So what did you make of that one on 55 minutes then? Kulu coming on for Bentancur. I agree with you, Sean. I think Bentancur was having a decent game. So why did he take him off? And you saw the frustration on Bentancur. I think they're probably fixing that seat after that, what he's done to it. And I think Brian Gill is out for next season now, because he must have got scared and injured after he saw Bentancur kicking that chair. What did you make of that?
I mean, I was surprised. I didn't think whether it was a case of Ange blaming Bentancur for the first goal, because it was just literally after they scored, wasn't it? And but I didn't think he deserved it. I mean, there was, you know, when you're looking for supporting defence in midfield, that is Højbjerg's job, and he didn't do it again.
What did you make of that one, Sam? The first substitution. And
again, without knowing the thoughts of the manager, we can only surmise here. Again, he might be thinking that Bentancur, having come back from a long-term injury, he's been doing this consistently. Bentancur has been coming off. So again, I haven't seen him complete a 90 minutes for a while. So I'm assuming there must be a reason for that. So I'm not going to jump on and say he was playing the best, because, as I said, City did the same thing with their keeper last night. You know, he looked like he was all right. They took him off for reasons that, you know, concussions. I know it's slightly different. I'm assuming he's protecting the player, and the players don't always see it in the same way. So unless he comes out and says differently, that's my reasoning for that. The substitution for Kulu to go there, though, or to be brought on first, again, what's happened with Lo Celso? Do we assume now that they're talking bullshit? Is it bullshit they're talking about Lo Celso and signing him for another contract? Because it can only be, he came on for 6 minutes again. I know we had 9 minutes of additional time, but he came on in the 85th minute.
Did I say that he's going to come on after 85 minutes, didn't I?
You did.
Did I not say?
You can almost set your watch by it now, because that's exactly what he did. I don't understand that if the player's fit. I don't understand that if the player is an international that's played for a World Cup winning team.
Strange.
Something
strange is going on, and don't care. Right, second substitutions were Skip and $5 million man. I'm going to call him now. And then the final substitution and the youngest ever player to make his appearance for Spurs, Mikey Moore, came on. But I think it was just a nostalgic substitution.
Token gesture.
Absolutely. Right. So that's that. Now, there was a lot of huffing and puffing, and there was a lot of kicking off. I mean, Bentancur kicking off because of obviously being substituted. You had Edison kicking off because he got substituted, right? But, guys, we're going to have to talk about, now it's that time. So let's talk about this. Not even that. Let's talk about this.
To me, the foundations are fairly fragile, mate, so...
How do you mean?
That's what I feel.
Is that to the atmosphere?
I just think that's, like I said, the last 40 hours has revealed a fair bit to me, and that's all right. That just means I've got to go back to the drawing board with some things.
What did you make of the fans chanting while you watching Arsenal after that?
Not interested, mate. Don't care.
Can I just ask, when you said last 40 hours, is that inside the club or...?
Outside, inside, everywhere. It's been an interesting exercise.
To do with players?
It's just my observations, mate. I'm not going to tell you because it's for me. I'm the one that's got to do it. So, you know, you can make your own fairly accurate assessment of what's happened. And I understand I probably misread the situation as to what I think is important in your endeavour to become a winning team, but that's okay. That's why I'm here.
Right. There's a lot of shit going on everywhere. Every social media, every channel, everything is just focusing on that. Break it down, lads. What are you making out of that then? I know it's frustration, I know, but is that too little too late? Or is that, and you mentioned it, Sean, and I'll come to you first, is that a sign of concern now?
For me, it's a sign of concern, yeah. I mean, having read, you know, that book that I've raved about in the past, John Gregan's book on Postecoglou, he's not without, you know, deciding to up sticks and go. And then what happens? It isn't what happens. And to answer Tuesnut's, because I saw that in the comments, Tuchel's not available. They're now talking at Bayern of possibly keeping him.
But would we want Tuchel at Tottenham though?
Well, Tuchel does has always had a soft spot for Tottenham. In it, he's always wanted to be here. But God, the football that they play, oh no! I mean, it would be Conte ball, and I'm not for that. It's and does he have a right to say that? Maybe he shouldn't turn on the fans. I don't like it if that was aimed at the fans, but I don't think it was aimed just at the fans.
No,
he was saying there was a mentality issue inside and outside of the club. So he, you know, it wouldn't be. No, it could have been like a half. You know, I could imagine him having a conversation and Levy saying, you know, we can't help Arsenal. and you just think that's not an Australian sporting endeavour. They give 100% to win no matter what. And his whole history is strewn with people. He could up sticks and go, and then we are in trouble because all the kind of unity that's been built over the year, all the sort of progress is thrown in the dustbin. And we've got a squad who've committed to this manager, and they have to start all over again come July. Nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. And there's no one emerges with any credit, including Ange himself, emerges with any credit out of this press conference last night. But obviously he was a very, very angry man. And I don't think, he obviously heard people cheering on City. He heard people say, being encouraging to City. You were in the stadium, City. I wasn't. You can't, I can't vouch for what was actually sung. But the only thing I really heard from Spurs fans was stand up if you hate Arsenal.
Listen,
sorry,
sure.
No, come on, you Spurs. There was no. It was mute, and I
didn't hear anything in terms of City. All I heard, like you said, was we stand up if you hate Arsenal. There was nothing else in the stadium. I never heard it unless there was stuff said in the south stand, east or west. And my boy was in the west. No. Paxton Road and nothing. So I don't know. I don't know if there was anywhere else. But before I come to you, Sam, Dino saying here, Ange seems to have had his Conte moment. He should have been disconcerted over the previous losses especially against the Woolwich. What? And obviously there's that video going viral as well of him having a go at somebody behind the dugout. We actually don't know. People are already saying that he's out of order. He shouldn't be saying that, blah, blah, blah. We don't know exactly what was said to him, what the conversation was, but that's going viral as well. So, Sam, what did you make of this then, this post-match?
There's a lot to unpick. There's a lot to unpick just from that, what you've just put up in that segment. Okay, let's deal with that first thing about him pointing to the fans at the back. If a player had done that, would be up in arms, because you can't. When Dyer did that, there was people saying, "Oh well, you can't be saying the things about your family." And I agree. We're all human, and we have that ability to snap. But this is why they're paid their monies, and this is why they have all this, because they know that that's part of the game. As much as we don't want to accept that it's part of the game, you've got to try and remain calm and cool. I'm sure in the last X amount of games, he's probably had loads of things said to him because of the performances. So I cannot understand why something being said now would give him that sort of ammunition to react like that. Because if we go back to the Arsenal game being 3-0 down at half time, you think that people are not going to say something then to him? Of course. But he's been calm. So I think this is a build-up, and I think this is a moment where he's just decided, you know what, I've had enough of this. The other thing I think is, I think they've looked over social media over the last couple of days and realised that the majority of the fan base did not want to help Arsenal. It's true. I think he's misread that situation in terms of that division between us playing as well as we can, but not helping Arsenal. The players are professional. I don't expect them to be going out and not performing, but they will talk internally. They'll say things like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, we're in a situation here. Like, that's got to happen. It's got to happen." I don't also agree that the ball would have come out and said, you can't let Arsenal win the league, because as I said before, about 15 minutes earlier, had we had an opportunity to get top four, do you think Daniel Levy would have said, you know what, don't forget about the top four, because that's money I don't need. I'd rather you stop Arsenal. He wouldn't give a fuck if you were going to make 100+ million. So that narrative, again, I'm going to take that out. I just think it's an emotional thing that's happened to him based on what he's seen over the last couple of days with the fan base online, and based on what he heard in the stadium. He probably heard people saying, "Oh, we can't go for this shit. Why are they playing so well?" But that's gonna happen. He should have known that's what's gonna happen. But again, I'm not apportioning all the blame on him, because as fans, we've bought into that. And the biggest thing as well that we now need to have is the board, some member of this board, whether that's Daniel Levy, whether that's Lang, whether that's whoever else is up there, to say, right, this is what we're doing. This is our plan. Nobody said this is our plan. Only Andrew said this is what he thinks he's going to be doing. Nobody categorically said this is our 3 to 5 year plan. We are sticking with this manager. and we're going to play this way, and we're going to have this philosophy, and we're going to aim to do this in the transfer market. Now, I don't expect them to say all of that, but they've not said nothing. No one said nothing apart from Ange. So he's been left to dry, as with all these other managers, and now it's a kind of, we're picking sides. We are now deciding whether or not the public court of opinion is going to stay on Ange's side or is going to fall the other way, because he shouldn't be picking on the fans. It's not his fault. It's not our fault. It's not the board's fault completely. It's a combination, but we're here again, lads. And this is worrying times. Worrying times.
Donna's in the comment section, so obviously we have got somebody from the board in here, if you want, if you know. But I totally understand what you're saying as well, and Jude's nuts as well. So does he not understand rivalry? Celtic Rangers is a more fierce rivalry than Spurs and Arsenal. If he was still at Celtic manager and Rangers were about to win the SPL and Celtic were not in the running, Celtic fans would want to lose. Do you know what? It's a very difficult one, and at this more precise moment, is it one of them things where he said it and then Gallagher's going to go around to him and say, "Listen, mate, don't look back in anger. I heard you say." But anyway, this is not going to end, is it? This now I think has ignited, and it's going to now continue between now and the summer transfer window and whatever. I hear what you're saying as well, Sean, about is this a sign of trouble? Could he walk? Because people are already saying now he might, it's all speculation. I think a lot of the questions he's been asked as well in these conferences, I think he's not happy with them, because if you notice, he never looks at the camera. He's always looking down. He's always looking sideways. But I've never seen him this angry. Never ever seen him this angry, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting now. It's going to be very, and as Jude says here, Angie's shown his cards. Pandora's box has opened,
and I think he's not misread. That's probably the wrong phrase. I think he's underestimated the power of the media in the Premier League per se, because of the fact that he's been very honest, and over time, that's good when things are great. The honesty part of it is fantastic. We all kind of lauded that. I did. Oh, fantastic. He's a breath of fresh air. All the rival fans saying, "Oh, we wish we had a manager like that." He tells it like it is. But when you tell it like it is, you have to continue that process of telling it like it is. There have been moments now where he's not telling it like it is. He was asked yesterday, "What do you mean by that?" "I'm not telling you, mate."
It's for me to work out.
Now we're making speculations as to what's happened in the last 48 hours. Hence why this is now going to run and run. If he just come back and said, "Well, I didn't like how the fans were behaving on social media," we can kind of go, "Oh, right." Or he could have said, "Well, I've had some discussions and maybe our transfer part," he doesn't have to go into detail. Maybe what I'm looking for next season isn't going to be quite as I've anticipated. We can understand that we can start running with narratives. Now we're just like throwing everything open. Was it the fans? Was it the rivalry? As someone told you, you ain't got no money because you're not got in the Champions League. You know what I mean? What's going on? It can be easily squashed, and it can be squashed today, stroke tomorrow by somebody. And it's not Ange that has to come out and apologize. He doesn't have to do any of that. I don't want him to apologize. I want him to, if that's what he means, stick by it. Don't come out tomorrow and say, "I didn't mean any of that." Because I'll be like, even worse, I'll be like, "Oh, fuck, you're just chatting shit now." The board member of somebody has to come out and say to us, blah, 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 blah. This is our man. Just like how Arsenal done it when it was Arteta. It has to be done because it hasn't been done. And regardless of whether we think we're in a rebuild or not, we haven't been officially told that's the case. We're making the assumptions based on what the manager's telling us. Now, if the manager's now flip-flopping between what he's telling us, we can only go by what we see and what we hear. And I'm like confused. What's happened in the last 48 hours? You should have known this 10 games ago if you're thinking it's a problem with, you know what I mean, getting to a top four, or you're not getting money. It shouldn't be the last 48 hours. I really think it's down to how the fans were in the stadium potentially, and him underestimating the power of the media, and also the underestimating the power of this rivalry, in my opinion.
I think it's like John saying as well, John Fernandez. I don't think it was that bad. He also said that that's why he's here, to change the mentality. He's not said, "I'm walking away with trouble in his mind." He said, "That's for me to sort out." That's
what managers said they're walking away? Have any of the managers that have been sacked said they're walking? Nuno didn't say he's walking away. Jose never said he was walking away. Conte never said he was walking away. Neither did Pep. Sorry, Pep.
Yeah,
Poch.
But he's also said, I'm here to change the mentality. That's why I'm here. So that, again, is not saying I'm leaving. He's saying I'm here. That's why I'm here, to change it. And people just need to sort of calm down. It's frustrating. Like you said, Sam, things have been said in the 48 hours. I don't know why he's even gone on social media, to be fair, to be checking all that kind of stuff. It is what it is. If, like you said, if he was at Rangers Celtic, same thing. If he would have gone to Barcelona, Madrid, it would have been the same. So you've got to have a little bit of understanding of the rivalry, and he knows Tottenham Arsenal rivalry, because even the pundits, even all of them, Mersons and Keons and fucking Mesut Ozil's posting for the one time I'm going to support Arsenal after they fucking kicked him out of the club. Yeah, he still support, you know what I mean? So all that and other things, and like you said, we don't know what's happened in the last 48 hours within the grounds of the Tottenham Hotspur club as well. So I don't know.
The Celtic thing is slightly different, and the reason I'm saying that is, let's say the rivalry is as strong as it is, you know what I mean? But what the difference is, if Rangers had won the title and it was Celtic that, there's more chance that Celtic the next year is probably likely to win the league because of that closeness in terms of one winning it, one maybe. I know they've had 9 in a trial and all the rest of that stuff, but it's a close rivalry in terms of how many titles they've both won. It ain't close between us and Arsenal. It's not close. So if Arsenal had won the title because of us giving it to them, they could probably be bragging for the next 10 years. And someone made a point on a podcast recently about that. Yesterday, I think it was when I watched it. If Arsenal had got the bragging rights, we would never hear the end of it. We would never hear the end of it, because we're unlikely to upsert them or surpass them by winning it the following year or winning the Champions League or the Europa. So we're always going to be the butt of them jokes from an Arsenal perspective. Now, had we won it, they would have turned around and said to us, well, you've only won one.
In 60
You've only won one. We've won our 13, blah, blah, blah. You can't do this. You can't match us. We can't say that. So that's where it's different from the Celtic Rangers thing. Rangers could always say, we'll catch up with you at some point. Celtic could say, at some point, we're going to be the ones that dominant. We're not in that position.
Yeah. Sean, Dino, so we have a manager who doesn't speak to players. We have unhappy and concerned players with nobody to converse with. Do you agree with that?
Well, he certainly doesn't build close personal relationships with the players, but to say he doesn't speak to them is a nonsense. You know, he just comes from. It's worked for him so far, and I keep saying over 30 years worth of coaching, and he doesn't. He's not there to be their mate. He's there to guide them, to mentor them, and to put them into places to get to play a style of football which he thinks and I think is a winning style of football. But I don't really hold much by that, Dino. If we have unhappy players, it's because they've not shown it to him that they're worth picking. I'm assuming that's the reason why they're unhappy. Is they've not been playing, and. I have every sympathy for the Celso, who should have been given a run in this last few weeks when Maddison was clearly struggling.
Yeah.
But, we've had, you can't, you can't knock the fact that we lost two of our two left backs, in the space of 3 weeks apart. And that did check that did make us weaker down the left-hand side. And that's unfortunate, given particularly given the fixtures that we've had. But I'm hoping Scott Munn. I would say that this is a role for Scott Munn to make a public statement.
100% agree.
He's the director of football. He sits on the board. He's supposed to oversee all of football. But my concern is this is going to run all week, and. What will happen when we come to next Sunday against Sheffield United?
That's what I was going to ask you, Sean.
And we need a point. We just need a point to clinch Europa League.
That's what I was going to ask you, Sean. Now, what happens now? We've just lost to City. There's been shit happening, uproars. He's had his meltdown yesterday. The fans are now replying back to that. Nobody from the board is coming back saying anything. So what happens now, Sean, between now and Sunday? Because the players now, obviously, they know we need a point for Europa League. So what do you reckon now the atmosphere is going to be like now between now and Sunday at the stadium?
Well,
What?
I mean, our fans that travel will back the team next Sunday. There's no doubt about it. They'll absolutely back the team. We've got probably the best, in my view, the best away support. Away supporters, the people that go really do back the team. Even at Liverpool, you could hear them singing at 4-0 down. You could, they were trying to get raise the spirit. But we've had some very unfortunate late season injuries. Richarlison being one of them, and obviously your doggy the other.
Bissouma
and Bissouma as well. Though, did our midfield play better without Bissouma yesterday?
I think we did.
Possibly, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't wish injury on any player. So,
Sean, to yours, because of the two games that are playing tonight, Brighton versus Chelsea, Manchester United versus Newcastle, we probably know if or not we need anything from from Sunday's game. Because if they don't get a result, i.e. a positive win for both those teams, Newcastle and Chelsea, then it doesn't matter about them.
Both have to win. They both have to win.
Yeah. And I'm looking at them both being away from home. What's the likelihood of both of them two winning? I'd say Chelsea more so, because Man United, you never know what you're going to get. But then again, you never know what you're going to get at Man United. So Newcastle,
no,
I don't know.
I think they'll both win. I'm sorry, I think they'll both win. Well, okay. I mean, Manchester United are a basket case, and Brighton,
hit and miss. Brighton, aren't they?
They're in a state of flux. They don't know De Zerbi's staying. It looked like he was being linked with every job, and now suddenly everyone's veering away because he's a bit of a maverick.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
let's see, we play on
I mean,
Sunday. What's the
I
game
think
Sunday, then?
we
just need
a point. We just need a point.
If you then look to Sunday's games, just looking past Brentford at home to Newcastle again on the last day of the season, Chelsea at home to Bournemouth. So again, if Chelsea win tonight, Chelsea are the ones that we have to fear. In my
Do you know what? I was having a discussion yesterday. Last game of the season, Arsenal are at home, City are at home, Liverpool are at home, Newcastle are at home, Chelsea are at home. Interesting. Interesting. We're away. Anyway.
Like our first game of the season.
Yeah.
Away.
Exactly.
So
interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting.
So, sometimes I wish the Premier League would adopt the sort of Italian system where they just you play all 19 teams in one or in an order, and then you play the same matches in reverse order. Home away, home away, home away. But
I thought you were going to say as they fixed the league, as in Italy. I thought it was going to. What are you going with that, Sean? But no.
No.
Right then, lads.
No. The day the Juventus and their big brown envelopes are behind us.
Right. Final thoughts then. Final thoughts, and I'll start with you, Sam.
Okay, I'm going to try and keep my rant relatively short. This needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed soon. And somebody from the board, I don't want him to ask Ange any questions in the press conference and him to backtrack in what he said, in a sense of he'll probably have to backtrack somehow, because I still think it was emotional. But what I don't want him to come out and say is, I didn't mean any of that. That was just me. I just said no. He meant it. He had enough time between the end of the game and that post-match press conference to actually think about what he was going to say, as did Conte, as did all these managers. They've got enough time. So the press officer at Spurs needs to sit down with Scott Munn, Mr. Lang, Mr. Levy, and Ange, whoever else is involved, and say, how do we manage this situation going forward? They also need to find out whether Ange is committed to what he's doing and he's not just, lost in everything, because it can't just be this last 40 hours just now put the pressure on him in this sense. And if we get a positive outcome from that, i.e. a statement, doesn't have to be on video or camera. It could be just a statement that's on the website to say this. I think that would quell a lot of these questions. If we don't get anything before his next press conference and he remains in this honesty, or he doesn't remain in, it's going to be very, very frosty. And that's what I want. I think we don't want this narrative to run all summer, because after Sunday, there's no reason for them then to have to do anything. And this narrative could run all summer.
Well, after Sunday, within about 2 days, they're going to Australia, aren't they? So you don't want it to continue and linger into going into Australia. So it's because he don't want to go to Australia to go to his hometown to play the teams or whatever, with all this cloud and everything hanging. He probably wants it sorted now and then. Sean, your final
go on
thought?
the trip. What if he doesn't go on the trip? What if he decides, as Sean saying, he decides I've had enough at the end of the season?
Yeah.
This is not for me. There ain't no trip, and that's a whole nother story. But I don't think that's the case. That's extreme.
Yeah. Sean, final.
I would 100% endorse what Sam said. The only difference is that I think it does need a video. I mean, what Anne just said is on video, and it does need video.
True. You're a good point on that.
Yeah, I think it needs Scott Munn to be, front up and say, we are planning, basically to smooth over the path, and we'll see how it goes. But interesting how we're ending in a quite a toxic note, and I'm having visions of last year. It's just not good. So we'll see. Yeah.
Based on the results as well. So we've had them poor results. We've had, what is it, 5 defeats in the last 6.
Yeah.
And with the start of the season, and then obviously post-Chelsea game and all the ups and downs, you're quite right. This to add this onto the list now makes everything clouded. If it wasn't bad enough that the fans were beginning to get a bit of mumbling, I was like mumbling, but I'm looking at it critique from game to game. Long term, if this is a plan, I want this to be the manager for that plan. Because I don't want to see another change of manager, regardless if they even was to bring in someone like Tuchel. I don't really want to see that because he's got to bring in everything else and this style of football and all the rest of it. But then again, he's more tactical. So there's two. I don't think it's a manager problem. I think it's more than that, and I don't think it's just one problem either.
So 9 p.m. at some point this week, you have a SPPB, Spurs Political Party broadcast at 9 p.m. Shut everything down, get them on there, and they tell the fans this is how it is. Yeah, SPPB at 9 p.m. If you're watching, let's do it. Shut out every other program, whatever they're watching, and let's do it. So we move on to Sunday then. I don't know if you're doing a talking point, Sam, between now and the end of the week, but there'll be a preview for Sheffield United, the final game of the season, which will then decide our destination into the Europa League or Conference League, whichever one. But before that, Sam, anything you're planning?
I'm planning on going to Tenerife tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, you are, aren't you? This guy. Don't get bothered with that.
The man just goes from holiday to holiday.
I'm telling you, isn't he?
Says the Mr. Turks and Caicos down below me. Wow, come on. I'm not having that. I'm not having that. But no, I am going away tomorrow.
Okay, so then
I'll see what I can do. But I'll definitely be up for the games.
Yeah, if not, we'll just do the preview on probably Friday or Saturday, and then we got the game on Sunday. So make sure you join us for the preview and the reaction show for the final away game at Sheffield United. Sam, Sean, everybody in the comment section, from Deb Jones, John Fernandez, Stu MC.
He looks like he's got a welcome party. He lives in Tenerife.
Costa Deji. I'm getting Costa Deji. Not players this time. Costa Deji. If you're close to there, Mr. John.
I tell you what, preview show, John Fernandez, Soulful House. Join Sam, find him. Yeah, send him your location, and both of you can join us on the stream. And we'll have, yes, we can have that. But yeah, quality. Adam's in the house. Thank you, Wick LK, Giant Rabbit, Donna Cullen, Henry Sagu, Lockman, Venus, Jews Nuts, yeah, Pilch 58, Ronnie, Matthew, everybody. Thank you all. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, give us a follow. We've got 2 more shows potentially before we give it a rest, and then we'll do the transfers and everything else. All I'm going to say,
end of season talking points, don't we?
End of season talking points, yeah. All I'm going to say is, guys, thank you very much. It's been very, very good, and hope everyone has a lovely. There we go. I live up the hills, but we'll come down to get a beer, mate. I tell you what, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a can of beer. Yeah. Who falls down? We don't know. But anyway, there you go, Sam. Right. Absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs. And guess what?
Come on, you Spurs.
This one is for a certain club down the road.
more developed, too much more